Welcome to the Arksy Harker Show episode I don't fucking know anymore. Today, my guest is Wall, SOGB, resident scriptoid and uh, bionicle fan. How are you doing today, Wall? Oh, seems Wall's mic's not working. Retro. Uh, Wall says 1 second. Okay, we'll have a retry of that.
Okay,
Oh,
wrong button.
there we
First
go.
of all, I am not a scriptoid. I take it as an offense.
You take that as an
I do
offense.
script.
You don't want to take the bionicle fan as a term of endearment. That's crazy.
No, I'm fine.
Oh, the scriptoid is the
You can't call me a scriptoid. I just like I should just leave right now.
Oh, I'm so sorry. You're not a scriptoid. My bad. What should I refer to you as your title?
I am an engineer.
Mm, mm. All right. Well, why don't you tell us about some of the things that you've made? Because obviously you've made a lot of things.
I make mods that crash your game. Uh, I think that's my finest achievement. I also make mods that break your game in other ways. Uh, Sometimes they even leak memory. Uh, but no, on a serious note, I make engine mods. I decode the game, and to be exact, the game's engine. And it's not Gamebryo. Uh, I mostly do visual mods, but nowadays I'm trying to diverge into other code regions. Right now I'm working on real-time menus, which unpause most of the game's menus, so the time and so the time passes and the game simulates itself while you are in a Pip-Boy or in dialogue, for example.
So basically, like how Stalker works, where if you have your PDA out or your inventory, the time still passes.
Exactly, yes.
That's awesome. That is gonna piss a lot of people off who are bad at video games.
It's definitely going to piss people off who don't like the concept of uh, After Effects being imposed because I've noticed from my own playtesting that it's pretty annoying, maybe not annoying, but there is some new mechanic that comes out of this that now magazines, the magazines, are now a bit trickier to use now that the effect can pass by while you are trying to use them, like hatching or lockpicking. So you better get done through the minigame quickly, or you will waste your resources.
So basically, you want to do your menuing better than just sifting through your items for 20 minutes. You want to get in and equip your item and get out. So it's something like the Zelda hotkeys would be like really important with like that kind of thing, or the weapon wheel from Jam.
Yes, exactly. But on a positive note, this also works for healing effects, right? Most effects are unless opt out by modders, so you can heal while you do stuff, right?
Hmm. I mean, that's a pretty important thing because Fallout healing is, well, especially New Vegas and 4, it's kind of a crapshoot with how it works sometimes. So you definitely want those effects working while you're obviously in menus. That's pretty cool though. What are the challenges with like getting it to actually work?
Uh, the most difficult thing at first was making it all render properly because the way the code is structured in this engine, it's very messy. It's not modular like Skyrim's creation engine is. The code that handles the background rendering for paused menus and for rendered menus like minigames, it was pain in the ass to get this stable and working and performant enough. And then, finally enough, the second biggest challenge was thread safety. Because Fallout 3 and by extension New Vegas was Bethesda's first attempt at serious game multithreading. So in our engine, rendering is done on the main thread, while the actual game logic like UI, updates, AI, nav meshing, pathfinding, etc., are done on background threads. And like I mentioned, UI is done on outside background threads. And uh, now this creates a conflict because in some menus, you can't run the UI code on said background threads because they happen during training. And you can, for example, try to render the Pip-Boy on one thread and update it on another because in vanilla game, menu mode completely shuts down or rather pauses those threads, right? A game goes basically single threaded for menu mode. So there was a very fun challenge to figure out a safe way to handle that because otherwise things would just crash at random or software even. You could open a Pip-Boy and never close it because men would not get rendered in time. So looking back, it's obviously easy now because I just had to implement a switch from the
So basically, the big issue with doing the time moving and menus thing is Bethesda's Gamebrio's shit with how menu mode works, and you have to like hack around that basically.
not Gamebrios because this is fully Bethesda's code. I don't think I really even touch Gamebryo code at all in the module.
Mm. Okay,
I,
so it's more working around Bethesda's shit than anything.
it, Today was the first time I ever touched a Gamebryo class because I had to control animations for containers and terminals because they wouldn't pause their open animations wouldn't pause while opening menus. Uh, so you would get so they would close when you were still in the menu. So I had to handle that. But no, the Gamebryo layer is so low level and just insignificant here that it's not relevant.
What do you think is going to be the next big challenge for actually getting this implemented? Is it still just more code work you have to do, or messing with different game modes, or is it more just putting it all together?
The mod is basically finished.
Oh
I'm
shit.
basically tweaking and ironing some bugs that my testers find. At this point, it's more work scripting, rather fixing scripts than it is working in the engine code. And the scripting is not really that difficult. You basically add a menu mode check to a game mode script as far as it may sound. So I patched only 5 scripts so far. The game holds up surprisingly well because I have played TTW and my testers also played TTW on very heavy modded setups. They played DLCs and so far it's been okay. There have not been any sequence breaks. At worst, you get a crash sometimes when there are unhandled issues. For example, right now my current issue is that sometimes game tries to open dialogue, uh, and that obviously crashes because there can be two dialogue menus at once. So I have to handle that.
Mm.
So far, I've been fixing that through scripts, but I must look into fixing it in some way on the engine level to make it easier for actual script reads. So, like, despite all the panic that I and others had at first, it's surprisingly stable. Like, I've played a holiday bunny with it and most of the Fallout 3 quest line. And besides some quirks with uh, sometimes events happening too quickly because they trigger while you are in dialogue instead of right at the end, it works. And most of those event issues can be fixed by just patching the quests or scripts in there. So it's not a big deal.
So my next question for that would be, how does it handle with like events that set the time? Like, what's the interaction with that between like, say like the Fallout 3 growing up quest, or time passing when you travel to Point Lookout and such, or is it just unrelated?
Uh, it's not related at all
Okay.
because that's just an off-screen function to set the time, and that's not related. Actually, the Fallout 3, the child section was the first thing I tested because it's way heavier script-wise than New Vegas opening. So I expected it to break. And even during the first test of the mod, it didn't break, which is what put me into the confidence that I should invest in this because if this survived, then the rest of the game should. And so far, that's been true.
Okay, that's good. So, some quests that you thought would break, typically break for everything else, have just been like fine for the most part.
Uh, I expected the Outward Blues intro to break. The whole when you talk to the think tank members, the long group dialogue, or at least an attempt at group dialogue, that works fine, except of the crash I mentioned before, because fun fact. Dr. Mobius is actually active all the time while you are talking to all those other doctors. And I actually implemented Skyrim's dialogue camera so you can look around while in dialogue. So without any script patches, you can turn around and see that he's being displayed on the screen. And when game tries to later switch the conversation to his reference, it crashed. So that was a bit disappointing, but ultimately I fixed that and discovered a vanilla bug where the animation they play to set the camera is too high, so you levitate, so you drop to the ground or the animation stops. So that I need to add gravity to the dialogue update because right now you are stuck in the air.
That's interesting that that works that way. It's just a testament to how sometimes this shit's just kind of cobbled together in these Bethesda games, especially Vegas and 3. So, looking over all of your mods you've made for New Vegas, how much of like the engine level stuff is transferable to, say, Oblivion or Skyrim?
Mm, I assume you are asking us solely about my mods. If
Yes.
so, at least half of it, uh, because easily at least, because the mods that change the resolution of stuff or render targets or those simple patches, those are usually using the shared code between games. Um, while those more specific ones, like um, let's say real-time reflections. Technically, the code is independent from the engine, as in it would be easy to plug it into Skyrim or Oblivion because it doesn't rely on actual engine-specific data that much. Those abstractions that Bethesda has made haven't changed that much. With Skyrim SE, that would be a bit different because they are using G3D11, so the Bethesda wrapper about around that has is a bit different, but it would still be doable. Uh, Most of the fixes I make are very FMV specific. Uh, for example, I think the most unique one, or actually, no, yeah, the most unique one in that way would be that cell offset generator, because that does not apply to Oblivion at all. Oblivion doesn't support that because it was made with a single, one and only ESM in mind. That's why making multiple ESMs crashes the game and breaks, or rather breaks things, right? Like now, like landscape data. That's what we discovered with LG. I don't know how to pronounce the name when he was trying to port the mod to Oblivion, that it's completely unnecessary, right? Because it's basically all ESPs then. And ESPs, as you probably know, are always loaded. They do not load data on demand, so they don't need offsets, but yet they do slow you down, ironically. But it could be ported to newer games. The question is, how much would you gain from that? I don't think anyone tested, and until someone does, I don't think anyone will port it.
Now, I know that I believe Skyrim doesn't do it, but I know that Fallout 4 uses a thing called precombines to do all of its like LOD and cells. So I imagine that the offset generator wouldn't be really conducive to that game either.
I mean, they are not really related because offset generator
Hmm.
is an optimization for the reference loading that gets stripped whenever you modify vanilla ESMs or make your own ones, because we lack the ability to make them in deck or CK, and Xedit also doesn't support them. So that's why I made it an in-game generator instead of modding deck. It was just easier. both for me and users this way. So it could be useful for Fallout 4. I just don't know how big of a hit it is performance-wise on there because the file IO code is a bit changed in newer games. So they could be handling those SIG inefficiencies a bit better. Like I said, until someone tests, we won't know.
That's very interesting. I'm also asking questions because I'm not really familiar with how transferable some of the things you've done are. So I'm asking your basic New Vegas modder questions. So it's interesting to hear like the actual explanation and insight to that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Let's see here.
I will try to answer anything I'm capable of. I will try to avoid topics I am alien to because even I don't know every part of the engine. There are parts that Stewie or Korma or others know better than me because they have specialized in them for longer than I have. Like I don't know really, despite working menus, how UI system works well. Stewie knows more. He has made a custom menu after all. Same thing with animations. Korma knows more. I know the surface level stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So there is some ground for me to yet cover with my work.
What would you say is your, let's say, most important mod that you've put out recently? Well, not recently, ever, I guess. What would be the most important thing you've worked on?
Uh, Fog removal, I think that's the
Fog removal for like water or just like fog in general? Hello.
Thank you, Android, for gestures. I was mistakenly holding my window instead of the fast to talk button. So yeah, I was saying that fog remover, yeah, specifically is a very special mode because it's stupid. It has pretty much no use, yet people download it. So I think there is something to it that I have not yet cracked. Uh, there is some demand for ugly Mojave. I mean, MVR had its use until it was integrated to it, but yeah. But on a serious note, the most impactful mod I've made, I think, would be the first mod I made that you don't know about probably because the first mod I made was integrated into Stewie's tweaks, and that would be the sunlight fix. I released it for Fallout 3 separately later on during the show, first season. And the reason I think it's the most significant one is because the visual difference from sunlight being in correct position eh, is really dramatic in some scenes. So, and it really helps, like, well, look them correct, that's for sure. The shadows make sense, or rather shadowing, because we don't really have shadows. Besides that, the second would be the view model fix, also like related, also for the same reason.
Oh yeah, we
Makes
we
the,
we love the view model
yeah,
shading fix.
it's crazy to me that it's a simple, it's such a simple thing to fix. It's really, it was, I think, just, yeah, because the issue is basically that when they render view model, they offset lights, and they just forgot to offset the lights in the actual light code. That's it. That's literally like one line of code. They could have done it at any point during updates. They have never done that, and I don't understand how did no one notice? They've made all these assets, all those specular maps for guns, and they never noticed they look wrong.
I mean, like us Vegas players, you just assume, oh, it must just look like that for a reason. But to know that it looks like that because they fucked it up is funny as hell.
I mean, sure from the player POV, but when you are game dev, right, you are making said asset in the editor, so you know how it looks like and how it should look like. So it's like weird that no one noticed that asset because guns in most cases just look dark without the fix. Because the light, unless it's by some accident really uh, close to you, uh, it just does not light the gun, right? So it's really bizarre that it went unnoticed and especially unnoticed for so many years.
I know when I believe when you were working with Hitman or when Hitman was uploading the videos for it, I know he was testing a lot of another Millennia weapons, and seeing those weapons actually properly have lighting was like night and fucking day. Very good fix, top tier mod, and it's really funny that it's just a lazy fix. It's like one line of code is so on brand for a lot of things in New Vegas.
Most of the better mods are such simple things, if I'm going to be honest, not only from me, but other aging members of the community. Uh, because, well, I think the only reason is because the code is so messy so that you can really just look anywhere in the engine and you will find some golden nugget of few lines that would make the game way more enjoyable or looking better. It's why Stewie has so many goddamn tweaks in his mod. Like, if you look at the actual code, it's not really that complex, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm, in some cases they are very trivial tweaks, right? But they are game changing, and that's really what makes me question what Bethesda is doing. That they are so slow to incorporate those tweaks, those features into their future titles.
It makes me kind of wonder how like the development of these games actually like went. Um, because as you said, there's like a lot of just little stuff all over the fucking game, even like code wise or just scripting or level lists. That's like just fucked.
Looking at the code anywhere, be it the engine, be it the plugins, meshes, I think Bethesda is just a very messy company. I have no way to confirm this. I'm not going to ask devs if they are messy, but I think we can all safely assume that it is so based on the output they produce. Be it good or bad is another question, but I do think that they do have some management and priority issues at the company. That's why we get what you get in the end.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of noticeable with more modern releases and updates of things like Fallout 4 that they definitely kind of don't know what they're doing sometimes, or it just lack of communication within the company. Because like look at how bad the Fallout 4 Anniversary update has been so far, especially for like console wise, where you can't even like load DLCs. It's interesting where they've put their effort in their modern games.
I mean, they clearly put the effort solely into making sure that people buy the game again or the DLCs. I think they don't really care about the rest. I don't believe Bethesda really cares about modding community. Uh, they really like to say they do, and people think they do, but I don't actually think they care about us at all. I mean, at least they would try to communicate better instead of being radio silent all the time. And considering the history of updates they've done solely to add ways to monetize mods. Because remember, ESLs, that
You cut out there.
made pure, uh, I was saying that the ESLs that got added in Skyrim and Fallout 4 exist solely for Bethesda to allow for Creation Club. They weren't made for us, right?
Hmm.
So even those innovations are driven purely by their need to monetize our content, right? So I don't really believe there is like any deeper thought put into these updates. It's just whatever they can do to make news, right?
Hmm. I I mean, with the new Creation Club stuff, with the verified content creators, I know that they're somehow helping out modders who apply to that program. I'm not quite sure yet. I'll probably have some insight in on that in a few weeks or so, with talking to these people who have joined this the Creation Club thing. So I have a leery. I don't trust Bethesda, but it's if they're giving a handout to some people, that's cool. But it remains to be seen over time how that will be. Not knocking the people that got into the program though, good for them. But I probably won't be applying for it. As
I have nothing against people who apply these programs. I think it's cool that Bethesda offers at least a pseudo job offer, right? So some way to gain money besides Nexus. But what I don't like and what worries me a lot is that they NDA'd a lot of stuff in Starfield, even stuff like documentation for CK, which previously was free, right? So it's weird. I mean, uh, it really isn't, but it is concerning that they have made such an aggressive move on that part.
that's a very understandable concern though. I it's something that's gonna have to wait to be seen with how they act going forward with how they've monetized user created content. I said last show that I was worried about it and like it's a slippery slope, and I still think that. But if they somehow manage it right, I think it could be a net positive thing. But if it's not managed right and the barrier of entry is like way too low with like some stuff with Skyrim, not to knock Skyrim creators, but like a single sword mesh for like $8 is nuts. That's my opinion anyway. I know there's a lot of work into asset creation and all that, so people's work is what they think it's worth, but there's got to be some give and take.
Uh, I agree that the concept of uh, paid mods, even for those basic ones, like you said, of single items, is is well, at least I can say it's weird because in honesty, the DP system that Nexus has came up with, or at least implemented, I don't know if they were the first, is pretty solid because the mod can still remain to be free, right? The user doesn't really pay anything besides viewing ads. So I think it's a symbiotic relationship between the mod author and the mod user, right? Because you can make a mod and don't do anything else technically, and you get rewarded, and the user can download the mod and not even use it, and and you get rewarded, and they get a mod, right? While the concept of suddenly being able to purchase mods regardless of their scale and with such weak moderation from Bethesda does not build a good community, in my opinion. It just creates a storefront that is purely Bethesda oriented than than community oriented. That said, Creations Club is still free or whatever it's called, right? So that's an alternative. But if Bethesda will continue to gatekeep uh, documents or assets to the paid store, right, that will be really dangerous for us.
I think also something that could be dangerous for us for the say next Bethesda game that people start moving on to. Let's say they make Fallout 3 remaster next year. I hope not. If someone decides to join that program and then locks like something important like the script extender behind the Creation Club paywall, that would be terrifying. That's like a worst scenario, I think. But I don't think anyone on those teams would actually do that. Maybe Othmore,
Uh,
eh,
I can assure you that that will never happen, at least that exact scenario, because Bethesda would never allow engine mods on their platforms because, first of all, engine mods by nature are not multi-platform, meaning they would be PC only, and
mm-hmm,
worse, they often would be specific to a specific game distribution, right? Because the execs exists, that's how you say it, differ from the Steam version of GOG version. The GOG's English acronyms are annoying. And the Xbox version, they have different executables, different codes.
mm-hmm.
And unless Bethesda puts actual effort to make engine modding easier or official, that will never happen. Plus, the legality of the engine modding itself is a gray area, right? Because by EULA we are officially forbidden from modding the engine, right? We can't reverse engineer the game, yet we do anyway, right? We
Mm-hmm.
exist because Bethesda cares enough to not look at us, basically, right? But this limits our ability to work with Bethesda in official capacity. That's why Bethesda, for example, doesn't hire engine modders, but they can hire gameplay modders, right? That use CK. They can hire artists, they can
Mm-hmm.
hire level designers, right? But I have never seen a case when they hired or contacted anyone from the engine modding side of the community.
And you guys are pretty like you guys talk to each other, so you guys would know if they did. I'm assuming.
Yes, the, even across the games, there are groups that we are in. So it is like it is a very like tight community regarding engine modding in Bethesda games because we all share some experience that is transferable across the games. So we can all help each other out. Plus, it's a general programming experience, right, that we can share. And yeah, so far I have not heard of any such case of Bethesda really contacting anyone. I think there was one or few times where Bethesda contacted Ian, the author of Script Extenders, with a heads up information about Skyrim update. But besides of that, they are radio silent. They don't tell us anything. They don't help us with anything. You can report bugs to them and they will reply sometimes, but that's basically just a community manager stuff, right?
Right.
You won't ever be able to talk to actual devs for help. And in fairness, I think they wouldn't even really know that much looking at how the games work at the moment.
That's very interesting. I didn't know that. I mean, I heard that Bethesda had contacted the author, or one, at least one of the authors of the Skyrim script extender, to let them know about an update, but I didn't know that was like a real thing. I thought that was just like a rumor.
It was real, and what's weird is that it was a one-off, right? It was, I think, only for the special edition, and they have not done anything ever since, or at least no one has said publicly about it. But considering the slowness of updating the script extender and other mods, I continue to believe that they are just not communicating anything with us.
All right, to move on a little bit, but to keep it in the same realm, what's your favorite mod that you haven't made? You know, your favorite mod that someone else has made.
I am not a big mod user. Uh, I don't really play the game anymore. I have spent like 10 years playing it almost. Uh, I don't know, no, yeah, almost 10 years. And so my mod taste is a bit outdated.
Uh,
Mm, I think the most impressive mod I find would be The Living Desert by El Pascal. That scratches the itch I have with New Vegas. I find New Vegas content really lacking, and the New Vegas as an area, right, the Mojave, is very empty NPC-wise, and I think El Pascal did a really, really good job filling it with life. Uh, I think the second most impressive mod for me would be Xylindro Stars. I don't really care about the cars themselves, but still is inspiring to me because he just like, especially now that nowadays I'm working with Xed, right? So I get to see from behind the scenes. And it's just impressive to me how he can manage to push script to such boundaries that uh, he's basically able to write his own engines, physics simulators, right, state machines of a very complex scale in such limiting and imperformant language. And I think cars are the perfect example of what this man can do when paired with a good engineered by his side. And by that I mean jazz, because let's not forget that jazz was a major contributor to New Vegas scripting capabilities, right?
mhm.
And he and Xil are a really good duo in that regard, and neither Jeep or cars would really exist as they do now without these people, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because
Without like the groundwork they made, we really wouldn't have some of the cooler things we have now.
yes, and I want to note that uh, the from an person who mods the engine, right? We have this relationship with users, be it actual game users or other mod makers, because we are able to mod the engine, right? We are basically to do the stuff that you are limited. We are able to move past those limits. Just users of all kinds are very important for us because they inspire us and give ideas what to do in the engine, right? What you request from us, what you need to be able to make new mods. That's why I specifically highlighted the Seal and Jazz duo because they feed each other ideas what to do next, right?
Hmm.
See the because one requests a script function, the other makes it, and vice versa. Uh, the other one decides to do something in the engine, and that inspires other people to make mods for it. I can see it nowadays, right? I made the real-time reflections, and thus new artists can make new assets for it, right? And now with making the real-time menus, even now, before it's completed, there are new gameplay ideas that could be scripted, right? So it is a really cool symbiosis between these groups.
It's very interesting to hear that. I mean, that's how like a lot of the my favorite mods have been made, or mods I've worked on, is working with someone else and just bouncing feedback back and forth, and just finding a good like middle ground to work with. As someone who can't really make assets, it's very appreciative that people that have lent me their assets to use for other things or made assets for me. I know that Zill was working on the new Underbarrel script forever ago. I really hope that comes out eventually because I'd love to use that. But I also know Zill is like working on 20 different things at a time usually, so it'll come out eventually.
I contributed to it, so by sheer demand of mine, he must complete it because I've made a few functions for it, so I don't want my code to go to waste because I don't think anyone used use functions so far.
Hmm. Hey, give me 1 second. I gotta pause the recording real quick. I'll be right back. Go. Let's see here. Um, it's definitely good seeing like all the like cool script shit come out. As like I've entered the modding scene a couple years ago and just seen it like evolve more from the like frontier cars to all just the shit you've done and like shit Jazz has done, or not Jazz, Stewie, with Stewie tweaks. And my chair is creaky. Sorry. It's just cool. I mean, it's shit I've never would have expected to be feasible in New Vegas, much less a Bethesda game. So it's great seeing that kind of work just come out, and I'm really appreciative of it. I know most people just download it and don't think about it, but I think it's great work.
Um, I think most people do appreciate it, even if they don't comment about it, uh, because I've met really a lot of users that are silent on Nexus itself, but are vocal on Discord, and I think it's just a matter of finding the time to talk to people, to mod authors or shiners, and I, I just don't believe our work goes unnoticed because I mean we modders, let's be honest, carry the game on our backs, right? And it's what defines Bethesda games nowadays. It's what people think about when talking about Bethesda. It's what people mean about. So I think we are always being considered, even if there are many people that take us as for granted, right? But I think there is a genuine, what's the word? Mm,
Appreciation.
oh, yes, appreciation. That's what I was looking for.
Well, that's good. I'm glad that you guys get at least some recognition from users. I know dealing with users can be some of the best interactions you ever have, and definitely not annoying or anything. Sorry, Nexus users.
As much as I hate that, I can't really blame users unless the issue stems from not reading or being an asshole. Because if it's any kind of a more technical issue, even such things as like basics of modding, I mean, we've all been there, right?
Hmm.
And when you are a beginner, you hardly know what you are doing. And just as long as you are able to read and comprehend what you are reading, I think you are fine. Just please don't demand modders to be at your service all the time.
Hey, bro, can you VC with me? I need you to tell me what I'm doing wrong. I installed this through Fallout Mod Manager and tried to use NMC, but like they don't work. Please fix. I do appreciate when users are actually able to read and comprehend things. As you said, it's when it's a comprehension issue, it's not as annoying. But when it's a people being stubborn and not wanting to learn anything, that's when it gets super annoying. Especially when it's like just like credit not no, what's not creditlessly when they blame shit that makes no sense to blame for their bad load order. Oh, your guns are look broken. It's clearly your fault. It's not any of the 30,000 ENBs I've installed.
They are usually most likely to blame the last of that thing, because from their POV, you are the block that made the whole mod tower, the mod Jenga they've made fall, right? And they are obviously not going to blame themselves for building such unstable structure because they can't even comprehend most of them how a proper mod orders look like, right? So
Mm.
it's expected that we are always to blame and not them.
It's always our fault. But moving on. Do you have any questions for me at the moment? I usually ask people if they have any questions for me. Be it whatever, bionicle related or not.
What is your favorite bionicle set? And please do not mention Maritorans.
Why can I not mention Mahari Torrents? They are the best. They're little guys. I have 67 of them. Um, my favorite set probably well, my favorite year is 2007 with the Mahari stuff. I would say my favorite set is from that year is probably I would say Decker, but you said I can't mention that. So the next best guess would probably be Jollar Mahari, and then after that probably Hydraxon or Mexolius.
Yeah, the Jar is a fine set. You get two characters in one, even if one is just a crab.
Mm.
But it's a fun build. for a child. Personally, my favorite set I owned at least was Axon, purely down to those fingers. It's very fun to play with fingers on a bionicle set.
Yes, I have seen some people do very cursed things with Axon. I won't speak into life because I don't want someone to send him to me again. But yeah, Axon. The '06 Titans are very good sets. I am a big fan of Brutaka as well.
I never had Butaka. I had to choose between Axon or Butaka, and I chose Axon.
You picked right.
That was my reward for getting for a visit with a dentist. I remember I had a really big toothache, and I got I yes, and they allowed me to buy a bigger set for that.
That's nice. Bribe the. Here you go. I know you're in pain, but here's a Lego set. Good luck. Um, I'd say Rudok is probably my least favorite Titan just because of the implications of it and the ramifications it's had for the community. Even felt today, unfortunately, with people being.
I'm that I'm that weird guy because I never really felt anything for her. I
That's not
never cared
weird.
about her.
That's not weird.
Uh,
That's normal.
I mean, I feel like a minority in the community because of that.
Nope, nope. You're not a minority. The minority are the loud, weird ones who like putting tits on toys. Unfortunately, they are a very loud minority.
I had Sidorak and Keaton Wu, and basically most of the 2005 sets, but I never had Rudaka. I even had all play sets. Oh God, I love those Lego system play sets. I really wish we had more of them. They were pricey as hell, but man, what a lot of fun with that was. I wish they could reboot Bionicle one day purely as a system.
That's a whole can of worms I've been a part of.
Yeah,
Um, so there has been attempts to like do brick Bionicle sets, and the people behind them usually kind of don't know what they're doing, or I think the no offense to you because they did do um brick built sets for Bionicle with the 2005 and 2007, 2005, 2006, 2007. Um, and one of those produced a very expensive misprint, which I am a proud owner of. But it kind of misses the point of Bionicle a little bit because it's supposed to be like a contraction theme, and like it's supposed to be action figures at the end of the day. I feel
I
like
am a big sucker. Sorry for interrupting you, but I just have to define myself. I am a big sucker for world elements, for any kind of world building, for scenes. I just, because with figures alone, right, with characters alone, you don't get a playable sense of the world. So those sets, even if not all of them are really canon, looking at the Mari sets or Ranui sets, uh, they do represent some physical part of the Watanui world, right?
mhm,
And that's what I think for me is biggest enjoyment out of those sets. It's not really about the construction or the theme of the how you build it, right? It's just a physical manifestation of Machoran culture
mhm.
and of how their world looks that you get outside of games and books and comics.
I will say they are pretty good set pieces for what they are. The Mahari Train one is pretty good for depicting, that first commercial that they put for the Mahari 2007 with Crashed Into You. And the Attack on the Gate for 2005 is good. The 2006 ones are kind of whatever, but they had like a flash game to like depict a lot of that stuff, so it's not like totally lost or anything. But I feel like a lot of modern fans kind of miss the mark with how these sets should be handled, because a lot of modern fans of Bionicle are unfortunately younger, and they're fans of things like Ninjago, which is technically the successor line to Bionicle. Well, as a legacy.
I have no issues with Ninjago. I'm saying it partially because I was a Ninjago fan back then. And even looking now at current sets, I don't really feel like they would uh, be harmful when branded under the bionicle name, because after all, I am in bionicle for the lore, right? For the story. The sets are basically just representations uh, of elements from the story. They are collectibles, basically. So even if they are not technique, as long as they are not what it's called CCBS or whatever, I think it's fine. I really hate that new construction style they've made with Hero Factory. It sucks. When I saw the G2 sets of Bionicle, I just like I was so disappointed. They look so much flatter compared to original Technic sites that it really would have worked out better if they were classical system ones. Because at least those look more geometrically complex than flat shells.
So to play devil's advocate, the first wave of G2 sets were probably the best Bionicle sets we've ever got, because it combined like functionality with its like pseudo gearbox it had in like the arms of the actual sets. And it did have, well, you're correct that the shaping was less geometrically like complex. The ideas were still there. It still had the sauce. Now the villains are pretty weak. We only got like 5 villain sets, and they're all just kind of whatever. And then the second half of G2 is just bad because they went to a like single piece for depicting torsos, and it just not good. That's why, well, G2 also died because of lack of advertising and branding. Less on the toy side. That they're trying to make an action figure line in a now budding realm of more kids just wanting to play video games or like play phone games or Fortnite. So it's just kind of a terrible spot to try to bring back an action figure line. I would say like make it more adult oriented, but I don't think that's really the key there either. I'm someone who's more in it for like the actual toy versus the lore. I'm not really a lore guy, unfortunately. Fake fan.
G2 had potential, uh, but yeah, I basically agree with everything you said about the reason of it failing. It's sad to see that they gave up on it so soon after release.
I mean,
And
like
to be honest,
they released
no,
like one of the most competent Titan sets they ever released with Umarak the Hunter, and then they followed it up with like the worst like second wave line that they've ever made. It's tragic.
it really is. And like you said, it's really laughable that they didn't put much focus on video games. They did try to make that show and movie or whatever that was. And I do really appreciate that they tried to mimic the original vlog style of the Flash animation. visuals, but I think that they should have really put more focus into an actual game instead of mobile slop, because let's be honest, it was nothing compared to what we got back then. So yeah, it's sad. It's just sad and disappointing.
Many such cases with fandoms that are IPs that decide to go the whole mobile route for anything. All right, we're gonna move on to our last segment here. All right, Peanut Gallery chat. Ask a few questions, and then we will go through them, and then we'll call it for the day. Because I gotta go play Halo with the Halo people here soon. I was liking the Bionicle podcast. Sorry. Could be worse. 5675 asks, "What is your favorite color?"
Uh, I don't really have a concept of favorites in my life. I do have preferences, and that would be either red or black.
I like the blue purple I always use for everything. Sunset asks, "How do you see the game in 5 years?" I think that over the past few years, we've achieved many good improvements in all directions.
I hope it's dead. Uh, I hope we are free.
We hope. I
How
hope.
do I see it? Well, I expect the remaster to come out eventually, right? And I don't expect that anyone will really move onto modding the remaster, looking at how Oblivion's remaster has been handled. So I expect the visual community to maybe move onto remaster or backport assets from the remaster to the original game. Uh, but I think it would be still more or less as is right now, because most of us aren't going anywhere and we are still getting new people into modding, and they are proving themselves to be very creative and really interesting people with lots of potential. So I think we could continue with, let's say, innovation for few more years.
Let's see here. Could be worse. Also asks, opinion on Open MW for Envy.
Open NV. I get this question a lot, and my answer is the same. Uh, Personally, I don't find it really useful. Uh, Partially because I can't make it. Uh, because I mod the engine already, meaning I already can shape the game however I want, but also this comes with a drawback that I know but just the code, right? I can't make a clean room decompilation, which is exactly what Open MW is, right? They are doing it completely clean room. That's why I can't even contribute to it. None of us engine modders can contribute to it. Through code, at least, we can share our experiences or descriptions of the code, but we can't write code for it. Thus, it's purely up to others to make an OpenMV. Uh, at the current state of Open Morrowind, they do seem to have some interest in making formats of newer games readable. This is why you have seen models from newer games being loaded and plugins being created. But in fairness, and not to discredit those efforts, those are the simplest things you can do when talking about porting games to a new engine, because those are just the visual parts. They are standardized, they are known, documented, and the actual game logic, right? Replicating all the AI behavior, the scripting quirks, etc. That will be the difficult part. And because they are working on borrowing, right? A lot of borrowing AI code and script code, or although they do use Lua for scripting, uh, anyway, a lot of focus is going to be replicating Morrowind first than to even start doing Fallout 3, right? And Fallout 3 did a bunch of AI refactoring in combat code example. So, and then Skyrim did a complete refactor of combat AI again, right? So it's easy for me to say about those things because I have seen study code. But from open borrowing perspective, those people have not seen the code. They have to assume what has changed, what has changed. They have to basically program based on what they see in game, and that's way less accurate than you could get, right? But it's the only legal way of programming you can do without Bethesda shutting you down.
It's very interesting. Um, I knew the combat AI was different between the games. I didn't know it was actually that different. That- that's cool. Is there anything you wish you could add to the game? Matt Pat 3000 asks.
I will add a bit to the combat stuff. The only thing from Oblivion we have regarding combat AI is the melee system. Everything else is completely new and remade in a also another AI system. So it's really messy. As for what would I like to add, what I wish I could add to the game, I would love to have proper and safe memory handling. And to be exact, I would love to be able to implement smart pointers for references because this is the biggest pain in the ass regarding our version of the engine. It's why it's such unstable because Bethesda does not use any smart pointers for their own classes. So to explain that, uh, game basically has no idea whether a memory object has been deleted or not. Game can delete actors, references, object classes at any time, and unless they are handling that in the deletion code, other parts of the engine don't know that the memory has been freed. That's why so many crashes come from that. If you ever wondered why Skyrim is able to be more stable than Fallout 3, New Vegas, or Oblivion, it's why they finally figured out how to do smart pointers despite both Havoc and Gamebryo using them. That's what is baffling to me. That both Havoc and Gamebryo are memory safe. They are well-made engines, but whatever Bethesda wrote, which is the biggest part of the code base, basically the whole code base is Bethesda's, right, at this point, and they have fumbled it so badly. I really wish that we would have gotten Fallout New Vegas on Creation Engine solely because of that. It would have made modding a lot safer for us and easier.
If only Obsidian had 8 more years of development time. But yeah, that sounds very annoying actually. Like do anything, right?
It, to say how big of an issue it is, we basically have to sanity check so often in case something gets deleted, destroyed without knowing, right?
Hmm.
And it's only this year that we have added a system that we could safely attach extra data to references or to rather to forms, right? So we actually now can attach data that will survive properly and safely whole object lifetime.
All right. Orgasmic Sneeze asks, when are we getting NIF spotlights?
Spotlights are on pause. Uh, the reason you haven't seen me talking about it is because and I do say we, not I, because there are people working on it, because we are working basically on revamping the failure system. And I do mean revamping it from ground up, uh, taking the whole control of it instead of just adding small bits to it. And that, so with that foundation done, it really simplifies the workflow regarding adding of shaders. I've done the hard part already. Now it's basically a matter of actually making such shaders, which is probability working on it.
Matt Pat 3000 asks, what is the difference between the GEC and Xedit?
Well, Xedit, first of all, is a fan-made tool. It's made by Elminster, and this automatically makes it better than that because it wasn't made by Bethesda. It was made by people who actually know how engine works, ironically. Uh, the code is a lot more cleaner than Gex. Like, trust me, if you think games code is bad, Gex is like thousand times more worse. Like it's just like it's horrible. Like it's so ugly. It's incredible that it even runs most of the time, at least. Uh, Besides that, I mean, you know what the difference is. One is basically a giant spreadsheet comparison tool, and the other is an actual editor with an actual interface to uh, be to present data in an editable manner. Uh, I don't know what to explain more because like you can just open these tools and you will see the difference immediately.
They're different tools for different purposes. I mean, you can do a lot of Xedit work in GEC just because it's an actual editor. But GEC is better for actually seeing stuff in like the game world, whereas Xedit is more a tool for editing things like on the back end of stuff, like with scripts or just comparing things like Wall said. Um, Xedit also doesn't crash every 5 minutes, and GEC makes you want to shoot shoot yourself half the time. It's bad. Um, could be worse. Asks, why don't you want to take my 25,000 DP?
I don't really like money.
I like money. Hey,
As, as weird as it may sound, I just like, I'm not really a person that spends a lot. I basically just do whatever I can to sustain myself. I don't really have personal needs. I'm a really boring person in real life in that regard because I just I like I said, I don't have meat, so like that's why I don't even like people donating to me that much. It's why I don't do commissions either. I just I would prefer to do stuff for free. That's why feel free to just ask me stuff. Don't be afraid. I love sharing with information or work with others.
Alrighty. That's very humble, by the way. That's really sick. If you want to send me DP, my link is right over there. Nah, but I understand that. It's very admirable. Into the
It
rough.
cuts you.
Sorry,
You got interrupted.
could you repeat that? My bad.
I said that it cut you off when you said when you began your sentence that if you want to send me, and then Discord cut you off.
Oh no, you're fine. I don't need. Well, I do need money, but it's fine. Anyway, Into the Rough says, where is the IDB link? I don't know what that means.
It's somewhere in the plugin development channel on XNVSC, if I remember correctly. I don't think it's pinned anywhere.
The real one. The Cabal's not real.
The real one, well, it was a real one. It was just out of date. So like, you are just pitching.
All right, I have one last or two last questions for you, and then I think we'll call it because I gotta go play Halo with the server people. Unfortunately, so my first question is: when can we see Balatro in Fallout New Vegas?
From me, never. I
Never.
don't play.
Sad.
I don't play card games. I don't even know how they work. I don't know what cards are there. I just like never cared about them,
Mm,
and I never understood them. I have never even played any mini games in Fallout New Vegas regarding casinos. Like, I have
interesting.
like total aversion to that kind of stuff. The only card game I have ever played was Slay the Spire, and that would be it.
Oh, Slay the Spire in New Vegas. That'd be great. Just put that game in there. Yep. My next question for you is: who else would you like to see on the show?
Uh,
Just
uh,
add Morty. Morty's time's coming.
Steam Parrot would be hilarious. Stewie is a good idea to invite to, or
Stewie
collab.
and Kraut. Okay. Cabal members. Got it. But yeah, it's been great having you on. I'm really glad we had this time to do the show. I look forward to seeing what else you put out in the next 5 years of this game. Hopefully it's dead, but like you said,
Sam, thank you for inviting me. I would, I could talk a lot more about bionicle. We could make a podcast
we'll do we'll
for
we'll
those
we'll do a Bionicle
topics.
episode. Don't
I,
worry.
because I can talk for hours about stuff. I think you have noticed. I'm a very talkative person, so you could really make some content out of me.
I'll definitely I'll keep it in my mind. But anyway, I appreciate you for coming on. I appreciate your time as always. Who is could be worse? 5675. I know that's a new person. Oh, Stent's a good one too. Is that one of the Cabal members, or is that just a random person? Because I have no idea who this guy is. No offense. I don't know people.
Everyone is a Cabal member.
Everybody is a Cabal member. True. He is a peasant. All right. Well, thank you guys for coming by. I will see you guys tomorrow for my Fallout 4 episode with Alex Vader.
Bye.
I hope you guys have a good day. Bye.